You're listening to the Super League Pod, coming up on episode 155 of your favourite Rugby League podcast. We've got all your feedback and shout-outs, news from around the world of Rugby League. We cast our eye back over round 2 of the Super 8 and preview the upcoming third round of fixtures. And I have an absolute shithouse go at a Bradford Bulls quiz. Strap yourselves in, kids. It's time for the Super League Pod. Alright, hi everyone, welcome to episode 155 of the Super League Pod. You may be surprised that Tom and Mark are here as usual with your weekly Super League and Rugby League fix, because according to Twitter, there's about 9 people ready to jump in and host the podcast on our behalf, Mark.
Yeah, so we're a day late because of work responsibilities for you again, kind of scuppering the normal order of things, but all that served is for a swell of support. Like you say, intrigue on Twitter.
There you go. But no, it's nice. It's like the Super League Hull cast. I think by the end of it, I think we had Langers volunteering and Scoots, and then a couple of the cast lads looking to chip in. All I can say, it's a piece of piss. Start your own club podcast.
Hold on.
No, you'd have to we're an inclusive group. We have the overarching sort of franchise.
I see what you mean. So you'd have your SLP franchise.
Yeah, exactly. So you could be, like Super League Pod, the Cash Show, and they can host it and what have you. Because honestly, you may be baffled, you may be astounded to learn this, but the technical setup that we've got here is relatively simple, and I would suggest that many a layman could get their head around it.
We would be outdone in days, I would suggest.
In mere moments. Also, before we get to the feedback and shout-outs and talk about how your week's going, I feel like it's important to let people know, if they don't know already, that I have reclaimed the Instagram. I've immediately started dishing it back out.
Right, okay, well I've got Instagram on my phone because I got a new phone and I've decided to install it this time around.
Superb.
So I can...
you can do a bit as well.
I can get involved with the Instagramming occasionally. I'm not really a big
Instagrammer.
But...
You're more of a Snapchatter.
No, I don't even have that at all. I don't even have a fucking clue how that thing works.
No, I've got no idea. Snap me back.
I am... I got some feedback from my wife, who is a big Instagrammer, about the usage of the Instagram account.
Oh, brilliant.
She has said that...
That's good of her to get in touch with you from Charlottesville, Virginia this week as well.
It would be useful if people do something to indicate who it is when different people are posting on Instagram. She sort of got a bit confused with what was going on, particularly on Sunday afternoon, I think, this week. So, if you're doing a post on Instagram, tag yourself in. Yeah. However you do that on Instagram.
It's. I know what she's saying. That's fine.
So then, we can track
who's done what,
whose stories are which, sort of thing. I think is what she was sort of saying. Yeah. Rather than it jumping around and her being a bit confused.
I enjoyed the shirtless men celebrating Cass's not quite won it yet victory down at
this is less officially confirmed than when we had to argue about Bradford's relegation being officially confirmed the other week.
It would require a massive implosion,
but it would still be bonkers if they weren't to win it. Yeah,
absolutely. So away from all that logistical stuff, how's your week been?
Right, logistical stuff back too.
All right, go on.
I was thinking, do you remember, it was either late last series or early this series, we started this thing where we did a bit of a what's coming up on the show, and then we dropped it without thinking about it.
Oh yeah, we did it for a week or so, didn't we? Yeah. Are we going to bring it back?
I thought maybe it'd
help. Is that what the intro's for?
Because the intro's more for you saying the same 3 or 4 words over every week and then throwing in a gag about something.
But that's what people have come to know and love. And
no, I'm not knocking the intro. I'm saying it doesn't sort of say what maybe we're going to be focusing on in the news or that sort of thing. I don't know. Do you think it'd help people?
Should we give it a try?
Well, the news this week is going to be dominated by what's going on at Lee and a couple of signings for 2018 around the league. And then we've got the Super 8s and the qualifiers where we give you all our game reviews and player stats.
Yep, and then we'll be looking ahead to round 3 of both those competitions.
We've stuck in a couple of other results from outside of the mainstream world of rugby league for people to pique their interest. Then the quiz this week, Tom.
Quiz. Is it birthdays?
No, it's going to be...
for fuck's sake.
It's going to be linked to the Bradford Bulls, because that's going to be a topic we're going to get to quite early on in the feedback and shout-out.
Brill, very good. Okay, well then... That's fabulous. I think we'll have to keep doing that, won't we?
Yeah. How's your week been then, Tom?
It's been alright, mate. Yeah, not bad. Steady away.
Busy working.
How's your busy working? I'm having to think back now to what did we do over the weekend? I did an escape room at the weekend.
Oh, with your friends?
For the second time. With Emma and her sister and her sister's boyfriend.
Who you want to become friends
Well, we are
with.
friends. Yes, we are friends. We have decided to be friends. I don't think we've actually gone to be friends, but we happen to get on. He's our kind of people, mate. You get on well with Stefan. In fact, he knows some of the people you know. Because his twin sister works behind the bar at the Taps, and he knows Ross.
Ah, well, there you go.
There you go. So we were in there, we were all chatting together, the three of us, at the weekend. Because after we'd done the escape room, which we escaped from, by the way.
First time for everything.
First time for everything, yeah. I'm at a 50% hit rate now with escape rooms. Then we popped to the Taps for a spot of dinner. And it was very, very nice. Sorry, pint, whilst we thought about what we would have for dinner. And then we went out for an Italian. So that was kind of the big highlight of the weekend. And I saw a shooting star on Saturday night as well. Apparently you were meant to be able to see loads of them.
Right.
And I saw one.
Didn't have my eyes peeled.
Didn't have your eyes focusing on the heavens.
Been watching a lot of athletics.
Yeah, it's been the World
over
Championship.
Last week. That was fun.
What dominated your week then?
Kind of. Although Saturday we went on a trip to Blackburn.
Oh.
To see
one of Emma's EDL marches.
See one of our friends.
Do I have to stop the Emma's a racist guy?
I think so. Yeah, because she's hurt by the suggestion.
Oh, for the love of God.
Anyway, we went to Blackburn at the weekend, then stopped off in Preston for a bite to eat on our way home in the evening time before catching the sort of relays and that in the World Champs. So yeah,
good stuff. Been a steady away week for you as well then.
I'd say entertaining. Enjoyable. Yeah,
good stuff. Right. Well, that's us taken care of. Who's been getting in touch with us about the show this week?
Well, we start with one of the most unfortunately accurate episode reviews we've ever received from last week's show.
Well, no, I take issue with this, but carry on.
From Mark, who said, the usual RL goodness with a little racism, incest, Class A drugs and kangaroos thrown in for good measure.
We weren't racist. Your wife is racist.
Well, my wife isn't racist.
Some of her best friends...
But racism was discussed, that was incest.
Yes, there you go. Okay.
Very briefly.
To be fair, I take issue with that. There was no incest committed either. They only be taking in Class A's and there's no kangaroos about the place.
But all of the things were mentioned.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Something that maybe we only just mentioned and didn't talk enough about, possibly, Tom. Brendan Loftus, at BP Loftus, got in touch and sort of quoted a tweet from the Game Call, you know that, Bradford?
Yeah, I do know him, yeah.
Which was about a poll for Bradford Bulls supporters, which I'm assuming was jumped upon by non-Bradford Bulls supporters too. But anyway, Brendan says, a talking point for you blokes perhaps next time. Cheers for another great pod. #now then, lads. Anyway, it was a poll for Bradford supporters about whether Bradford should get a championship reprieve or end up in League One in 2018. And I think the overall vote ended up about 2/3 for the League One and a third for the Championship, and I'm not sure that they would have all been Bradford fans voting that way. But we didn't talk about it a lot, and I know you probably don't want to.
No, I'm happy to talk about it.
But maybe we should cover it a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's been kind of... Each day goes by and as each week sort of progresses, it's become more and more confirmed that there isn't going to be a shake-up in the system in terms of the way that the league structure will be run. There might be some tweaks to the Super 8s and things like that, but there's nothing really to say that the lower end of the competition is going to be shifted around that much, which means that Bradford have been relegated to League One, which is fair, and I'm very happy about that. I would be unhappy if we'd been somehow contrived of a way to be kept up. I can see the argument that people make about the potential and the and you know, in terms of the numbers and what Bradford Bulls at its peak could have brought to Super League, but that's 10 years ago.
Do you have an idea?
That's not to say that, you know, Bradford can suddenly get back to that position in any time in the next decade anyway. The way they are for where they are.
They've been the second best supported team in the Championship this year. Do you have an idea on how that's actually translated to sort of tickets on the gate away games, which is where teams are going to be hit the most. Because in terms of aggregate attendance of the Championship next year, that is going to increase because the Toronto Wolfpack get more.
Yeah, well, I haven't been to an away Bulls game this year, but if anecdotally you look at the Bash and the numbers that they're capable of bringing away, and I know that anecdotally they do bring more away fans than any other team, apart from perhaps Hull KR. Have done. So there is a financial element to that, but that shouldn't be the consideration. It should be, where do you finish in the league? And Bradford, by the checks and balances that were put in place by the RFL, the sports governing body, have finished bottom and should be relegated.
To be honest, that argument about ticket revenues for the Championship clubs, well, he wouldn't have had it this year if the alternative had happened, which would have been relegation.
I think the thing that stuck in the craw of some Bulls fans was that they weren't able to start in League One. Now, the timing of everything in terms of when the new club was reformed and when everyone else was getting their shit together in terms of schedules and fixtures and things like that. And squads made it very, very difficult for the RFL to simply transplant them into League One and have them start at the bottom, because it would have created... You couldn't necessarily put a League One side up into the Championship because they wouldn't have been prepared, and that would have been unfair on someone like a Whitehaven or what have you. And there would have been all sorts of kicking off if Toronto had been bumped up in there. So... I get the point why it didn't happen. It was unfortunate. The fact of the matter is that if the club hadn't been so badly run for more than a decade, they wouldn't be in this position in the first place. So, they should be relegated. They have been relegated. I will be heartbroken, and it will stick in my craw if they... I don't know what it will do to me in terms of what I think of it as a fan, if they are somehow contrived to be kept in that league or whatever, because they should be starting in League One.
I feel sorry for the fans that we know that, every weekers kind of people, people like from the Super League pod family, people like Vicky McQueen and people like that who go regular.
Yeah, Alan and Anna.
And, Anna doesn't go.
Well, no, Alan, Rich Tordoff. So we've got a few people that get in touch with us and listen on a regular basis.
So I feel sorry for those guys, the way it all panned out. But we talked about this back in January, February time, and the way it's panned out is because of the way the club's been running. Actually, the way this has happened and sort of making an almost inevitable relegation, and then the club be run quite shoddily for most of this season as well.
Well, it's been run on a shoestring, and to be honest, they've been kept. I don't think it's been run shoddily this season in terms of administration, because they've kept the club afloat on a really shoestring budget. They've got no central funding, don't forget. So they've done.
I don't think the owners, in terms of the off-field stuff, but in terms of the on-field stuff, I think it's been ran quite poorly. With being so reliant on loans, but not basically getting them. The way some of those loans ended up being structured,
I just think whoever comes in and whoever's in charge.
The fact with the coach is a big. The factor of the coach was a big load of nonsense that ran on for so long. Yeah, and I know elements of that were out of the club's hands to an extent with the visa and stuff like that, but still, it's kind of. And then there was issues early doors with shirts being wrong and things like that. So there have been some stuff as well around it. But it was the ultimate punishment to make them go on this parade of misery this year. Yeah. I said at the start of the year, and not for the fans, but for the club. And I know the people involved with the club now aren't necessarily the ones responsible, but the club has to take its lumps. And
of course it does.
Next year it should run roughshod through that division, no matter how it structures its teams.
You hope so.
And then
a large amount of that depends on how many of our youngsters we can keep hold of and how we supplement that with the better end of available talent from the top end of League One and bottom end of the Championship.
There would also, I would suspect, be season-long loans arranged, because loans arranged more so than these ad hoc deals where people were disappearing after 4 weeks and then not playing again for you for another 4. Do you know what I mean? And you lost out big in the middle of the season after Lily and people like that were starting to set down a marker. Then Easter came along, Leeds pulled them all back, and you were screwed.
Just pulled the bottom out. We didn't win for 9 weeks after Easter.
Right, so we're both in agreement that it's kind of panned out the reasonable way in the end, even though it's unfortunate for Bulls fans.
Let's talk about something else.
Win League One, and it's okay. Okay, talk about something else then. Bernard JKD, he said, I was too harsh on Hall, had so many spats with his fans who say he is the world's best winger in both codes. Any winger in RU is better. That's
take issue with that. That is a very bold statement.
I guess he means any international winger, but still a bold statement. Yeah. I was at Wembley International in 2011, and yes, he was real good then, but crucial match-losing errors in big internationals blot his record.
So I started to think about which ones that Bird was referring to then. I can recall errors where we've been pushing for the win and he's tried to force things and has lost possession or what have you. I'm thinking of like the test down at the Olympic Stadium and stuff. I don't recall match losing errors.
No, I mean there was the very close no try in the